Hi everyone, my name is Gianna and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys a little bit about a vacation that I took last month to Turks and Caicos with my boyfriend. So I just wanted to make a little bit of a video for you guys on like a review, recap basically of my trip, traveling during coronavirus, tips and tricks, things to do, stuff like that about Turks and Caicos. So if you're at all interested, stay tuned for the video. Subscribe to my channel. I put out new content every Sunday, fashion, lifestyle, beauty, travel. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, stay tuned and stick around for the rest of the video. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about with you guys was traveling during the coronavirus epidemic and what to know before you go to Turks. There's a lot to do before you get there. It was honestly a little bit stressful, but we were able to get everything done in time. So you're going to need to have a pre-authorization travel form with the Turks and Caicos government. So it's like an online form where you have to submit all your information. You're going to need travel insurance, which you need like the biggest package because it has to be able to cover up to like $1 million worth of medical care. You need to have a negative coronavirus test within 3 days of your arrival, which is kind of hard to get. We were a little bit stressed that we wouldn't be able to get our test back in time, but we were able to. But on arrival in Turks and Caicos, it was very cleanly in my opinion. I think that they're taking the coronavirus situation very seriously there. So it was masks on in all public areas, in restaurants, in shops and grocery stores. You're gonna have to have your mask on, and in a lot of places on entry they'll tell you to hand sanitize so that you don't touch anything without hand sanitizing, which I thought was really smart because here in the States I haven't gone to any store where they told me to hand sanitize. I just do it on my own. But yeah, I think they're taking the coronavirus situation very seriously in Turks and Caicos, so that made me feel pretty good. Honestly, I was feeling like they were taking it more seriously than they are in the States. They were definitely very cleanly, very on top of it with social distancing and mask wearing and hand sanitizing. So that was really great. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was nature. So obviously, Turks and Caicos is in the Caribbean. It's a very beautiful island. Their slogan there is beautiful by nature, which I think is so cute. So I'm going to tell you about a couple of my favorite beaches. So I'm going to insert a lot of clips from all the different beaches that we went to there. So some of my favorite beaches was, one, it would be Long Bay Beach. So our first accommodation, we stayed in an Airbnb. We stayed in 2 separate Airbnbs when we were there, and I would recommend doing that because honestly, it's such a safe island. So I never felt any kind of like sketchy situation happening or sketchy people or anything like that. We roamed the island freely, traveled everywhere, had our own car, and just drove around and sightsee and all that without any kind of like precautionary measures, and everything went totally fine. There was never any kind of moment where we were nervous or scared or anything like that. It was a really, really safe island, definitely in comparison to places like the DR in Mexico where it's kind of like stay on your resort, like might not be so safe off the resort. I would say Turks and Caicos, you're totally free to roam around and see the island and you'll feel entirely safe. So like I said, the first Airbnb that we stayed at was an area called Long Bay Hills. So we had private access to a section of Long Bay Beach, and it was so beautiful. I loved Long Bay Beach because, like all the beaches in Turks and Caicos, it was super beautiful, pristine, really well kept up. The water was absolutely like crystal clear, so it was gorgeous. But another thing that I really loved about Long Bay Beach was the secluded nature. There was not anyone on that beach. We only saw one person for the 4 days that we had that beach access. One person one morning jogging. Besides that, we would go out there day, evening, early in the morning to watch the sunset and things, and there was never anyone on that beach. So it was incredible because it was just like our own little beach. So that was great. I would definitely recommend going there. It's so beautiful. Water is beautiful, it's gorgeous, and there's not going to be as many people as other beaches. Like the next beach I'm going to talk about. The next beach I'm going to talk about is Grace Bay, which you may be familiar with now after Drake has name dropped that beach at least 7 times in the past couple months.
I see it back in Turks, remember who took it at first, and don't you forget it.
So Grace Bay Beach is the most popular beach in Turks and Caicos. It's like the hub of all the touristy things. It's where a lot of the resorts are. It's where all the shoppings and things like that is. So, you know, it's a very popular area, but Grace Bay Beach is still a beautiful beach. Even though it's the most popular beach, you might think it's a little run down, you know, a little dirty. No, it was absolutely pristine. It was gorgeous. The water was so clear, it was so blue there. I definitely recommend going. The only thing I will say is that it's definitely a little bit more popular, as I was saying. So when I say it was crowded, I mean that compared to going to Long Bay Beach, there was like 10 or 15 people, you know, spread out in a wide amount of space at Grace Bay. So that's what I mean by crowded. It wasn't like Spring Break Miami Beach crowded. It was just like, you know, more people than we were used to at Long Bay Beach. But Grace Bay was absolutely amazing, took my breath away. It was so gorgeous. Another beach that we really loved was called Smith's Reef. It was so gorgeous. A lot of snorkeling opportunities if you're into that. Boyfriend was the huge snorkeler on this vacation, so constantly taking the opportunity to snorkel. There were so many little fish in the water, and I could see them just looking down. There was fish and all kinds of little sea creatures, and it was really nice on a little quay. You know, there was like a canal for boats to come out, and we were right there on the entrance to the ocean, so it was just a gorgeous, gorgeous area. Honestly, I think we did a little bit of trespassing at that beach because it was a little confusing to get there and things like that, but we made it and it was beautiful. So Taylor Bay Beach was another beach that we went to, and it was a little bit, you know, hard to get to. It was like we had to be creative with our parking and the entrance and things. We ended up driving up into a little bush and parking in the bush and kind of hiking for like a 10-minute thing to get to the beach, which we didn't know. The entrance, there isn't really an entrance for it, you just gotta find your entrance, but it was so worth it. It was super, super beautiful. So I definitely recommend Taylor Bay Beach, and right beside that, like a 5-minute drive away, is another beach called Sapodilla Bay Beach. Parking is very obvious, in your face, gorgeous beach. It was really, really beautiful. Jet skis and things like that you can do there. So I definitely recommend that. And lastly, my favorite beach was a beach called Malcolm's Bay Beach. It was absolutely gorgeous. I loved it. I believe Malcolm's Beach is in a national park in Turks and Caicos. So it was so pristine. It was untouched beauty and nature. And I will say though that if you are in Turks and Caicos and you want to go to somewhere like Malcolm's Beach, which is definitely off the beaten track, and the terrain is very wild, you're going to need a 4x4. So we had a RAV4, and that was perfect because it's a very rocky road to Malcolm's Beach, because as I said, it's from where we started in Long Bay Hills, it was across the island, which was only a 35-minute drive across the entire main island of Providenciales. And the road to Malcolm Beach was definitely very rocky, very treacherous, so I would recommend getting a 4x4 if you want to do like a little bit of off-roading type stuff like that. Do not rent, warning, do not rent from budget rentals. Don't rent from them. We rented from them the first day that we were there, and the car they gave us, this little Matchbox Chevy car, literally it stopped running in the middle of us driving on the main highway in Turks and Caicos. It just wasn't working. Like, my boyfriend was pressing the gas and the car was not moving. So that happened the first day we got the car, like an hour after we got the car, 3 times on the way home. So the next day we went back there and returned that car, and I refused to pay a cent for it because it was like, you endangered my life. So basically, moral of that story is do not rent from budget. If you were in Providenciales in Turks and Caicos, don't do it. We rented from the next day our RAV4, which was great and really good condition, from a little like mom and pop rental. And if I can remember the name or find it, I'll insert it up here for you guys. If you guys are going to be in Turks and Caicos and want to rent a car, I would definitely recommend renting from them because they were really great. They had really great service. They were so personable. So yeah, I'm going to talk about food now. So the food is very similar to Caribbean food. My family's Jamaican, so it was basically the exact same kind of cuisine, you know, jerk chicken, curry goat, oxtail, all of that you could find there, rice and peas. So it's very similar. Our favorite spot to eat at was called Omar's Beach Hut. You can find it on TripAdvisor. That's how we found it. It literally had 5 stars. We ate there probably 4 nights out of 7 nights we were in Turks and Caicos because the food was so good. We loved it, and it was right on the beach. I think it was 5K's beach. The owner, Omar, was really personable. You know, he would come out and talk to the customers and things, so that was really great. And like I said, the food was delicious, so that was really good. And then if you want something a little bit more like upscale and classy, then you could go to Infinity Bar and Restaurant. That's where we went on like one of our like nice date nights. It's definitely expensive though. It was at the Grace Bay Club Resort, one of their restaurants there right on Grace Bay Beach. It was so beautiful. The whole entire location was like so incredible. But no, if you're going to go to Infinity, you're going to be spending upwards of over $100 for 2 people, so definitely keep that in mind. At Omar's, you were spending about $70 to $80 a night, so that's basically what I'm trying to get at here, is that do not go to Turks and Caicos if you are broke. Like, if you don't have money saved up, I would not recommend going to Turks and Caicos. It is not that kind of island where you're going to be getting like steal deals, in my opinion. Of course, there were like we went to, you know, a little bit of like a food trucks type situation, and that was probably like $24 for the both of us. But, you know, that was the cheapest kind of food that we found. So if you want to do that every night, then maybe you could do Turks and Caicos affordably. But even in the grocery store, because they have to export everything because it's such a small island. So if you wanted things that weren't grown on the island, like fruits and vegetables and seafood, then you're going to be spending, you know, maybe double even the price of what we would pay here. So like cereal, you might end up spending $12 on a box of cereal, or $10 for a little, you know, package of butter. So definitely be aware that Turks and Caicos is definitely like on the pricier side of the Caribbean islands, because I know you can go to like Puerto Rico and not spend that much money, go out to dinner $20 or something like that. So yeah, Turks and Caicos, definitely I would say save up before you go, because it can be a very expensive trip. So I'm going to talk a little bit about activities we did when we were there. So 2 of my favorite activities that we did was snorkeling and paddleboarding. So when we went snorkeling to the 3rd largest coral reef in the world. So that was incredible. We did a half-day snorkeling trip where we got to snorkel in the water for like an hour and a half, which was so beautiful. We saw so many fish down there, and luckily I had bought all these disposable cameras before we went, so I had 2 waterproof disposables, and I just let my boyfriend go wild with them. I just gave him the disposables and like, take as many pictures as you want, get some good fish pics, and he did. So yeah, that was so fun. We got to see so many fish. Our instructor was great. And then the same day as that snorkeling, they also took us to a little island called Iguana Island, which, as you can tell by the name, is filled with iguanas. So that was really cool. We got to learn a little bit about the history of the island, how the iguanas got there, and just spend some time on the island. The beach was beautiful, of course. All the beaches are beautiful in Turks. And then we had lunch on the boat. I had a large amount of rum punch, if I do say so myself. You know, played around, we had a slide, we were jumping off the boat, all that kind of stuff. So I would definitely recommend going snorkeling while you're out there. The water is beautiful, pristine, crystal clear, and you're going to see a lot of fish. And I know there's a lot of dolphins as well. We didn't see any. We saw a lot of sea turtles and things, but we did not see any dolphins, sadly. But I know there are dolphins there. And the next activity we did that was so fun, we did a paddleboarding excursion with our guide, who was so informative and so knowledgeable about holistic health and, you know, just like oceanography and things like that. He had so much information. He was great. But we took paddleboards out, literally out to the mangroves there in Turks and Caicos, and we learned so much about mangroves and how they protect the ecosystem and protect the island even from storms. And we got to see sea turtles in the water underneath our paddleboard, which was incredible. We got to see baby sharks, and we saw all kinds of like sea creatures and snails and concha and all this stuff. So that was really great and beautiful experience. I'd never seen baby sharks up close before, so it was just like a really incredible thing to be able to do. So I'd really recommend going out to the mangroves and paddleboarding if you're in the Turks and Caicos island area. Two last things I want to talk about. One is accommodations. So when we were there, we did not stay in a resort or anything. Another reason why I feel like it's a very safe island is because some islands are kind of like, don't go there unless you're staying in a resort. I would not say the same about Turks. We stayed in 2 Airbnbs, 2 different ones when we were there, and both of them were extremely safe. We never felt unsafe ever. So I would recommend doing Airbnbs if you'd like to go a route that's less traditional than a hotel or a resort. So we did Airbnbs, which were so beautiful, and I would definitely recommend doing that. Our host Mahid was really great at our first Airbnb. He took us on a boat ride one night in his little banana boat type thing, and I almost flew off the side of that thing. It was like an inflatable boat with like a real motor. It was very confusing. An upgraded banana boat. And he took us out to, if you ever watch any videos about Turks and Caicos, they'll always show you the big abandoned ship that's out in the ocean off the coast. We got to go there on his banana on a boat and I almost flew off the side. I'm not kidding you. I was holding on for dear life. I literally like bruised my knuckles. I was holding on so tight because I didn't want to fly off. But it was so incredible. Shout out to Mahid. Thank you so much for the ride. But yeah, I would say stay in an Airbnb if you want. It's not the kind of island where it's unsafe, where you need to stay in your resort. You can go anywhere, you can travel anywhere, you can do whatever you want, honestly. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was just the way of life, you know. You can probably guess it's an island, everybody's on island time, it's good vibes. I would definitely say that's true. Everybody was really accommodating and really friendly and wanted to talk and, you know, give recommendations of things to do and make sure that you're having fun on your trip. So that was really great. But overall, I would say Turks and Caicos was an incredible experience. Me and my boyfriend can't wait to get back. It was so beautiful. It was so safe, as I said earlier, and I would definitely recommend going. So I hope this video was informative for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed the pictures and clips and stuff. So that's really all I've got to say. Subscribe to my channel. I put out new content every Sunday, fashion, beauty, lifestyle. So if you're interested in that, like I said, stay tuned to my channel. And thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Have a great night, everyone. Good night. Bye.